I want to talk about living an authentic life. Living an authentic life. Can you imagine what that is, what it means? Well, I wonder if anybody has done the Myers-Briggs personality test. So has anybody had to go at one of those? Does anybody know what it is? No? So a Myers-Briggs personality test, it's a series of questions. And according to the way you answer the question, it sorts you into a particular personality type. And there are 16 personality types, if my maths is correct. And you end up with 4 letters. Now, I did the Myers-Briggs personality test a number of years ago, and my personality type is INFJ. Now, I'll just explain to you what those mean. So INFJ, I, the first letter, is probably the one we're most familiar with, the word introverted. There's introvert or there's extrovert. I'm introverted, quite strongly introverted. And it means that you gain energy from solitude and internal reflection, preferring deep connections over broad social engagement. Do you not believe I'm an introvert, Marika? No. No. But the way it manifests for me is, as much as I enjoy a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon I go home and I go, peace. Because that's what energizes me and helps me, move on and be energetic and other things. So I am introverted, believe it or not. But then the other parts of the N, for example, stands for intuitive. Now, they don't use a second I because we've already used an I for introverted. They use the N, the second letter. And intuitive means you focus on patterns, possibilities, and abstract concepts, often looking for deeper meaning beyond immediate facts. Okay? The F stands for feeling. And that means you make decisions based on personal values, empathy, and how choices impact others, striving for harmony. And then the J means judging. You prefer structure, organisation, and closure, often planning and making decisions in a decisive manner. Okay, so that's me, INFJ, introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. That is my Myers-Briggs personality type. Now, here's the thing. Do you think that tells me the way I should behave? No? What are you thinking, Vidura? What does it tell me actually?
That tells you what your limitations are, but it doesn't limit you from trying to go beyond.
Yes.
You always have to be introverted. You may go and talk to somebody. You just know that you may feel more uncomfortable.
That's right. That's right. So it tells me about my natural inclinations. It tells me about the things that give me strength, that help me recover from doing strong efforts, but it does not define what makes an authentic life. So part of my journey through life is to accommodate for this. This is how I feel comfortable. But if I were to live my life in this way entirely, there would be a great many things that I would miss out on. Our personality does not tell us what it is to lead an authentic life. So what does? I'm going to suggest it's tied up with this. We were talking before about the way that God always blesses. So, we have this perception of the sun and the rain. The sun being blessing because we enjoy it. We like to get outside and do so many things. But we can perceive rain as being, not quite so enjoyable. So we see it as a bit of a curse. But it's not, it's really a blessing. God always blesses. And we actually see it in this little story that Jesus, or this teaching that Jesus gives. So notice what he says. You have heard it said, you shall love your neighbour and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies. And he's saying, be like God. Love your enemies. That is the authentic life. So he's not saying at all that God curses. He's saying that God always blesses. And that is what he is calling us to do in this passage. One of the things I was reflecting on in previous weeks is the idea, we talk about God as being love and wisdom. God is also order. And the order of the universe comes from the order of God. And what I mean by that is God's ways are always loving and wise. Always. And we are called to manifest the same. We are called to be loving and wise in all that we do. Why? So that we may be, as it says here, sons of your Father in heaven. That's what it's calling us to. That's the authentic life that's being asked of us.
David,
Yes.
in the Old Testament, you can see also when God says, I create good and I create evil and I create all these.
Yes, okay. That's speaking to an appearance. It's understanding that all things come from God. Sometimes even the challenges, perhaps. But there's another way of looking at the challenges. When I say that God is order, if we live according to order, then life will flow more easily and better for us. It's when we live against order that we run into so much trouble. So when we start to live in ways that are not loving and not wise, this is when the challenges start to really mount up and present problems to us. But here's the thing, the problem that arises through living out of order is part of the solution to teach us to live in an orderly way. You see, we learn from the experience of that challenge that we have brought on ourselves.
Yes.
But God is order. God is love and wisdom. You see how that works? So the Old Testament idea of God is a misconception of the way that it works. What's happening, in fact, is we are living in a way that is not authentic, that is not according to what God is asking of us. Yeah? And I'll draw your attention just at the end again, this last verse, therefore you shall be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect. Now, the word isn't really perfect, it is whole. Whole, consistent, authentic. It's a much better word to use there than perfect. We have an idea of what perfect means. You know, you go into a perfect place and there's nothing out of place, it's all completely orderly. But the Lord is whole, authentic. And that's what I think is most useful for us to bear in mind there. So for me, I look at these words and this really encapsulates for me what we are being asked to do. To live a whole, authentic life. To live according to love and according to wisdom. To live the way the Lord would have us live so we can be children of God. Because when we do that, we truly are children of God because our actions come from Him. They come from the order that He embodies because we start to embody that order also.